Hello friends, it's Terry with Terry's Mailbox, and today I am presenting the Saturday showcase for the Funky Junkie Boutique. So again, the product that I decided to focus on is Bold Text 2 Die from Tim Holtz. It's just really a cool, large sentiment die, and I made these 7 cards. So again, here is the Bold Text 2. There's also the other version there in the back, obviously, but this is the one I'm going to go ahead and use for this particular Saturday showcase. So this is my box of backgrounds. I'm sorry to say I collect backgrounds. So again, I like to play with different techniques, and then I'll store all of the backgrounds in a box to be used at a later date. So today what I did was I went through my box, and I just recently organized it by the different types, so watercolor, smooshing, embossing, etc. So here are some alcohol backgrounds. I didn't end up using those. I did use this purple one, and I used this pink and orange one. This is ink smooshing with stamping. Then I've got ink blending, and then we're back to more ink smooshing. There's more ink smooshing. Here's kind of a watercolor. And then the last few are embossing. So I ended up using the saltwater taffy doily one and the brick one. And so you'll see that as we walk through the cards. So the first card I'm going to walk you through is my To the Moon and Back. So this is the moon stencil from the Simon Says Stamptember Christmas set. So again, what I started with was a piece of heavyweight cardstock. I put the moon stencil in the upper right-hand corner, and I'm just checking to be sure that I have enough room for the dies. So I'm going to use these bright colors. So I've got Twisted Citron, Salvage Patina, Squeezed Lemonade, and then I'm using Prize Ribbon and Chipped Sapphire for the dark blue background. So again, I'm just kind of, like a galaxy, just adding some bright colors in there. And I'm just ink blending, and then I went ahead with the Prize Ribbon and went around the galaxy pieces, just, kind of ink blending. And then the last thing I'll do is I'll add that Chipped Sapphire to the very edges, just to really darken those. So again, the Chipped Sapphire, the darker color, you could use black as well, but the Chipped Sapphire adds a nice layer of darkness to the outside of the galaxy. So again, just blending away, and then I spritzed it with water to let the colors kind of blend and meld together. And I'm just heat drying it here. And I did color the moon with pumice stone and hickory smoke using the second mask for kind of the planet and the craters. So again, I'm going to go ahead and add some white gesso here. I'm just going to splatter it on here for the stars. And here I am with a paintbrush, just kind of adding some darker white ones, brighter stars. So again, once I get that done, I'll go ahead and die cut the sentiment, which I'm using To the Moon and Back. Go figure. So again, we'll go ahead and do this. So there is the card as I'm going to put it together. And then once I got it together, I decided it needed something else. So I ended up pulling out my ledger die. I love this stamp. It's stamp, from Stampers Anonymous. Use this one a lot. So again, all I did was I just inked it up with black soot. And you can see it's not even on a block. I'm just kind of using the stamp itself. I did get some of the ink into the larger openings, but I'm absolutely fine with that. So as you're watching this, in the lower right-hand corner, you should see a red subscribe button. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and ask to be notified when I post new things. So this is card number 2. So this is a shaker card. I like playing with shakers, and I thought this was a great excuse to do it. So what I've done is I've got the Make Today Count, and I've cut that out of that purple and silver alcohol ink that is on a sparkly cardstock. So again, this just kind of adds something a little different. So I'm going to trim that down, and I'll end up with a smaller rectangle that I can use. So you can see here I've got, you see kind of that shiny thing on the background? That is actually just packaging from a stamp set that I glued around the outside to, you know, to be part of the shaker. So now I pulled this, this stencil. So this is number 155. It's a fairly new one, and I am just using Wilted Violet to color the background. I just thought, you know, I really wanted the shaker part of the card to be the star. So again, just kind of adding the color to the background, and then we'll go ahead and that sparkle card will go on the inside there. So the next thing I needed to do was make the shaker. So I have lots of these skinny strips of you know, of foam. And again, it just kind of makes it really easy to do these shaker cards. It's easy to shape and add to the cardstock base. So I'll go ahead and trim that, and then I'll go ahead and pull the paper, and then I did end up adding some glue around the top of it. Right now I pulled out, I've got so many sequins. It's so bad. But anyway, I decided to use different shades of purple, and, you know, really wanted to fill it up. I wanted it to be a really full shaker. So again, once I get that done, I'm going to go ahead and pull the paper, and then I'm going to add a line of glue around the outside of it. And rather than try to put this on the front, I decided to use just a piece of white cardstock for the backing, and that way it would lock all the sequins in between. And once that's dry, I'll go ahead and trim it with the scissors. So I'm grabbing my scissors here, and we'll go ahead and just trim it down real quick. I really like these sentiment dies, and again, you can use both the positive and the negative, so I think it's great that you have options on how to use them. And again, this is set number 2 that I'm using of the bold text dies from Sizzix. So again, there's kind of my card together. Now the last thing that I did after attaching this to the front of the card is I ended up using the Brushstroke Butterflies die, and that's a new one from Sizzix, Tim Holtz. And I cut the base out of just a heavy, thick vellum, and then I cut the wing accents out of kind of the leftover purple alcohol inked cardstock that I had. And I thought that really turned out nice. And then I've got the black body. And what I did was I just glued the body of the butterfly. So here's the next one. This is also an alcohol ink from my stash. And you can see I'm using the Love You With All My Heart. And I ended up cutting a gold frame using a Spellbinders circle rectangular, rounded rectangular die. And you can see that, you know, that frame is right there. So we'll go ahead and put that and attach that on the top here after I cut out the Love With All Your Heart sentiment. So then I've got my card front down there. So we'll go ahead and attach this, and you can see that I decided that that probably was a mistake because it makes it much easier to insert die cuts if you have double-sided tape on the back. So you'll see me put this together, and then I'll decide to pull it off. So again, I'll let you learn from my mistakes. So again, I'm going to go ahead and attach that frame or center that frame around the sentiments. It's looking really good so far, but like I say, then I realized, oh, if I'm going to put the letters back in there, it would be easier with double-sided tape. So I ended up pulling it off. And you'll see here I'm going to add the double-sided tape over the opening. And so again, I'll go ahead and attach that piece to the background after I have pulled the back of the double-sided tape. So again, we'll go ahead and center it back on here. And oh my goodness, this is going to be so easy to do this. So again, you just fit the letters right in there. I don't know why I didn't think of the double-sided tape before, but anyway, so there is it up there. The letters are all stuck in there, and that card is finished. And then I had that one piece left over that was the gold negative piece. So what I ended up doing was cutting one of the flowers using the artsy stem, and I used Tim's metallic cardstock. So I'm kind of looking at this. I'm thinking this is going to be the background here. So I trimmed that one down. So this is ink smooshed with resist spray, distress resist spray on it. So it kind of gives it a sparkly texture. So again, I'm using that, the negative there. The bloom, as I said, is from the artsy stems, and I cut it out with Tim's metallic cardstock there. So I'll go ahead and get this all together. So this is kind of my two-for card. It's kind of nice when you work on something and you can actually get a second card out of the leftovers. I don't mind that at all. So again, just kind of gluing, and then we'll go ahead and get that spaced on there where I want it. I needed enough room for the blooms up there at the top. And we'll trim that little piece off the bottom, and there you have it. Such an easy card with such a cool sentiment. Next one's Lucky is a State of Mind, and this is an ink smoosh background from my stash. So I kind of wanted to match the green in the ink smooshing, so I used the pistachio and the twisted citron, excuse me, to make kind of a greenish background, because I knew I was going to cut the openings out, and I needed a color for the background. And then I also ended up using the Lucky and Love embossing impresslet to cut the green shamrock out of there. So as you can see here, I've got the shamrock, and then I've got the green as the background on the Lucky is a State of Mind. So the next thing I did was I grabbed a distress vintage photo crayon, and I put it on my craft mat, and then I'm just kind of using this stencil brush to add it on there to kind of just, give it a little bit of a grunge so that it's not such a bright green. So there is that card. So that one was very easy. See how easy these negative cutouts are? So here's another one. This is that embossed doily background with saltwater taffy. I love this color, and I've had so much fun with it. And this is a frame that I actually used, created for something else, and then ended up not using it. So this is one of the framed impresslets that made that, and I just added embossing glaze on that. So again, I'm going to show you how I did that background. So here's that doily 3D embossing, and so what I've done is I've got a piece of cream natural cougar cardstock. And so I'm going to go ahead and grab my saltwater taffy ink pad, and I'm just going to run it all over the flat side. So again, you want to feel your embossing folder, and you want to put the ink on the flat side, not on the raised image side, and that will color in the background. So again, once I've got that done, I've got my cream color cardstock, and I just kind of spritzed it a little bit so that I didn't get cracks. And then we'll go ahead and line it up, and then I'm going to run it through my my machine, and then here we have how it turns out. So I like the rustic, rustic distress type look. So again, here I've got this. I decided to cut out the Choose to Shine also on a piece of the natural cougar cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and run it through this damask embossing folder. I was trying to cut the words out of a pre-embossed piece of cardstock, but it didn't go so well. It kind of fell apart. So here I'm starting again with a unembossed piece, and then I ran it through that damask folder, which worked really, really well. And then I'm using shabby shutters here just to color it a little bit. And see, then the frame is going to go up there at the top center. Sorry, I'm off camera here a little bit. So then I decided to pull in a green piece of paper, piece of cardstock to frame that sentiment in, because I thought it picked up the green in the frame very, very well. So I'm just adding glue into all of the extra little sections there that could come up. Sorry, my head's in the way. Got to make sure I got it on there straight, right? So the next thing I did was I trimmed it down. And then we can attach that to the front. And for the frame, what I ended up doing is I used one of Tim's Photoshop images. I wanted, you know, again, it's kind of a feminine type thing, so I wanted a couple on there, and I wanted one that had a little bit of color to it. So this couple was just great because it's not totally black and white. It has a little bit of color to it. So again, we'll go ahead and add my collage medium here, and then we'll center the couple in the frame, and then we'll go ahead and attach the frame to the front of the card. And that basically is the entire card. I didn't add anything else. I felt like it had enough texture and dimension and color and just special stuff to it. So again, I'm just going to add the frame over there on the top left-hand side of the card. There we go. I'll try to post a video showing you exactly how I did that frame at a later date. So here's my brick background. And again, this is inspired by Zoe, who is one of Tim Holtz's designers. So I'll put a link in the description below to her overview of how you do these. I mean, I had so much fun, and I did a few, and I've used them. This is the last one I had, so I'm going to have to make some more. But again, very easy, and she really does a great job describing how to do it. So again, all I did was cut out the You Make Me Smile from the brick background, which was pre-completed and in my background box. I urge you to do a background box. It's really pretty handy because when you need a last-minute card, it's like, whoops, let me go to the background box and slap a sentiment on it, and you're ready to go. It's just amazing what you can do. I probably will never use all my parts in my lifetime, I'm sure. But again, here I'm going to go ahead and attach that brick, and I'm using, again, the natural cougar cardstock on this one. And then I pulled out the snarky cats. I love the snarky cats. I think I own about 3 or 4 of the sets of them because I just think they're hysterical. So I pulled this little guy who's kind of looking up. Hat and bow tie I thought would just make it very appropriate. So I kind of colored him with my Copic. So using mostly gray, a little bit of pink for the cheeks, and the turquoise for the bow tie and the hat. And then I'll go ahead and fussy cut these out, and then we'll go ahead and attach that to the base of the card. So again, once I've got them cut out, I've again pulled out my white glue. And so I cut his arm so that he could hold his hat, because again, if I put the hat on top of his head, he would have been covering the smile word. So again, I had to kind of improvise there. Wasn't what I originally planned, but now I'm just trying to figure out how I can get him on there without losing a lot of his tail. So using just the collage medium to attach him works so well, and these little nozzle bottles are just brilliant. So again, if I kind of turn him over to the side there a little bit, I can get most of his tail on there. So again, let's go through all the cards. So here is that one with the snarky cat and the brick background. So much fun. Here is the doily background with the photo. And again, just kind of a very feminine floral type card. Here is the Lucky is a State of Mind ink smooshing and the clover cutout. Very simple. Here is the Love with All Your Heart. And again, this is an alcohol ink background with the sentiment and a frame attached. Here is the negative piece to that, along with that new, artsy type looking flower die cut. Here is the To the Moon and Back, which again is ink blended and, masked and stamped. And then here's my shaker card. So again, I hope you've enjoyed today's tour. Again, it's Terry with Terry's Mailbox. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Blogger, and YouTube. Would love to have you come and follow and subscribe.